Welcome to another episode of the Weekend No Show. My name is JG. I'm here with my boy CL Smooth. What's up, man?
What's good, JG?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Thanks. And I want to introduce the man formerly known as the Insidious LAT. But now you will refer to him as Ebony Blade. What's up, man?
Ebony Blade.
Yeah.
What's up, fellas?
Yeah. We need Blade in the house. So in today's episode, we're going to be talking about look, there's no other way to put it. A nasty chick from Mississippi who apparently had sex with a dog. And then we're going to be talking about the Bud Light situation with they have a trans activist named Dylan Mulvaney. Talk about that. And finally, we're going to wrap it up with Bitcoin and a Cheetos tin can or something. Well, we'll get to that part. But first, Smooth, why don't you fill us in on this Mississippi chick and the dog?
Yo, this world crazy, man. This world is crazy. All right, folks, this is what's happening in the news this week. So let me read you this report. Denise Frazier, 19 years old, was arrested after reportedly having sex with a dog and posting videos of the act to social media like Snapchat and whatnot. She's from Myrick, Mississippi. Apparently, she somehow crashed her car and then was photographed, allegedly, on the street corner holding a German Shepherd. And she was charged on April 5th with unnatural intercourse and aggravated cruelty to an animal. She could face up to 10 years in prison if she's convicted on the bestiality charges. Cops say that the clip that was shot was shot outside of a church, which just, makes it even worse. And apparently the local authorities were alerted because a clip of the video of the act was circulating on Snapchat, involving the woman and a male canine. Now, a couple more details. The Jones County Sheriff's Department said that they're in possession of several videos. This is what got me. They're in possession of several videos that are so graphic that we are not at liberty to release them or even discuss the particular content. So we know that she had sexual intercourse with a dog, but whatever else happened is so heinous, they can't even talk about it. I'm trying to figure out what the hell could that be.
Do we want to know what that is? Probably
I'm
not.
gonna let y'all speculate, but they can't even speak on it, let alone show it. They said the investigation of the case is far from over. Now, Frazier, the young woman, has made claims that she was threatened to do it, to do this act and to videotape it, was forced into it by people who pay her to make pornographic videos. The police are saying there's no evidence at this point of that claim, but they're currently investigating it. There are 3 separate dogs that were seen in the footage, but it's unclear if she abused all of them. The videos were filmed between February 23rd and 28th. She's believed to have had sex with 1 or more animals and filming herself. It's been reported that all 3 of the animals are now receiving medical help. It's, I mean,
Oh no.
damn, girl. Damn.
Yeah.
I'll leave it there, man. Why don't y'all jump in, because I'm just in shock.
So let me go ahead and get my.
Oh my God.
Oh no. Do I want to hear?
Let the other. I mean, we know Vel is a dog lover, so go ahead, Vel.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm guessing. I'm guessing she heard the podcast and she took, when I said fuck a dog, she took that shit to heart.
Yeah.
Literally.
She's like, word, I got you.
I mean, I don't know. Here's the thing. Is it? I mean, it's terrible. You shouldn't be fucking dogs. But I mean, what kind of medical attention are the dogs getting? Is it like, are they getting psych help?
I mean,
well,
yeah.
I'm just curious. I find it interesting that the focus is on the dog's help and not hers.
Well, yeah. That is interesting that they wanted to make sure to let us know that the dogs were getting the help they need now.
Yeah. But I mean,
well, I mean, I can imagine that, there's a concern of like animals becoming acclimated to having sexual contact with humans like that. I mean, shit. You don't want to be walking down the street and motherfuckers, you start talking about wolf whistles
I mean,
Hey, baby.
at the risk of this podcast getting canceled.
Oh,
I
we
mean,
getting
like literally
canceled. Oh, yeah,
canceled, not
definitely.
canceled by the audience, just canceled because of the content. But I mean, just how do you have sex with a dog?
Hey, man.
I mean, I don't know. Can dogs? Do humans turn on dogs?
I mean, I've heard
They're animals.
stories. The thing that struck me was they said aggravated cruelty to an animal, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
how bad was she at sex? But the dog was like, oh man, this is terrible. Please get this bitch away from me.
The dog was like, if you don't stop scraping your teeth.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
man.
what I heard was, when they got the medical help, the dog was like, man, that's a nasty bitch.
Yeah.
But he said it's all right. I can say that because I'm a dog.
Right.
Yeah.
Yo, but you know what? And I'm kind of laughing, but shit, the way this world's going, I made a note that I wouldn't be surprised. I know this sounds crazy, but I wouldn't be surprised if the day comes in the not too near future here, or far future, that people are like, well, why shouldn't dogs have the right to have sex with humans? Well, y'all are dog phobic?
Oh, Jesus Christ. No way.
Hey man, hey, listen, no way, bruh. I'm there's this new thing. I don't want to take us on a whole nother thing, but so many of these topics are connected. There's some group. It's called MAP, like to read a map. Minor attracted persons, right?
Okay.
People who are attracted.
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going with, right? So people who are attracted to minors, they're trying to fall under the whole LGBTQ, that whole thing umbrella.
Oh, that's some BS. What?
No. This is no joke. They're trying to position themselves as, they shouldn't be discriminated against because they're attracted to children. So that's why I'm saying, like, all this shit sounds crazy to me, right? But this stuff is becoming normalized, man. And here's something else, man. I've heard, like, when I was in high school, I heard rumors of shit like this happening, but we didn't have all this social media and stuff like that back then, so it didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I've heard stories about that, like like go to Mexico and you get to see a woman fuck a horse and shit like that.
all that type of crazy shit. But I've heard for years about, like, lonely women.
Oh, not the peanut butter story.
Yeah, please no.
Spreading peanut butter on their coochie for their pet. I'm not joking. Y'all ever heard that shit? Obviously, you heard that shit.
Of course. You see, I jumped right to it.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.
Hey, I mean, these are things that are happening in the world. I mean, we're not, I mean, I know we're making a little bit light of it, but, like, these are real issues, man. That's happening in the world. So,
well, the issue to me was if we go back to this Mississippi, what was her name, Denise, or was it? What was
her name? Was Denise Frazier, or is Denise Frazier?
So she claimed she was coerced into the dog screwing, the bestiality, but she was doing other things, right? She was putting up videos. So she was trying to, gain notoriety. That's my guess, because the police did say they had no evidence that she was coerced into doing this. So she was just trying to sell her video clips or whatever. And this is probably, she thought, oh, I'm going further than the other girls. Check this out. And then, oh man, that's the kind of world we're in. It's like money at all costs. Money at all costs, and it doesn't matter your dignity. The hell with that. Give me the money.
This is the problem.
I mean, I didn't really read it. I skimmed it. But so this is what struck me is like so she had a car accident. And did somebody recognize the dog? So did somebody see the video before? I was like, oh, I know that dog. That's that dog that be fucking women. So how did her car accident factor in to the story?
That's where the article was written. It was very unclear how that was related. So I wasn't sure if it's like she had a car accident and then in the midst of that she recorded the video anyway. That's kind of how I read it.
Let me get some quick content.
Yeah, like, I mean, I'm not sure, and they didn't go into great detail on like, how bad was it just a little fender? I mean, what did she hit? They didn't mention any other people. Maybe she hit a wall or a sidewalk, or I don't know, man. But
oh no, I just had a terrible thought. Maybe there was some peanut butter action while she was driving and she got distracted.
Oh shit.
Oh yeah, that would be pretty nasty, but pretty undeniable.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. Maybe she was filming something while she was driving, and that caused the accident.
Oof! Yikes!
Yikes! That's crazy. That's
That
crazy.
Ugh.
But look, this is the natural evolution of when society delivers messages that sex doesn't matter, right? It's just a physical act, and I'm not trying to get all religious because I'm not that, but when it's all like it doesn't matter how many people you slept with or who you slept with or whatever, it's just physical, it's just sex, it doesn't matter, none of this shit matters. This is where things head, and this obviously is not the first time this has happened, but what's new about all this stuff, like there's nothing happening today that wasn't happening 50 years ago, right? But what's new about all this is that it's out in social media, it's becoming very normalized, right? And there used to be, let's say there was 10% of women or men or whatever who were highly promiscuous, right? Well, now that's no longer the outlier. 40, 50, 60% are in that group. You know what I'm saying? And so what happens is you start to stretch more and more. Like that shit wasn't, freaking crazy enough. That's not gonna get me on the news enough.
That is a very long stretch, man. I mean, you can't link promiscuity with bestiality. It's like,
Why not? Why not?
Because I mean, bestiality is just that's some real fringe shit, man.
Hey, listen.
Listen, dude. I was promiscuous, but I never would have fucked a dog.
I'm not saying that. I'm not saying anyone who's promiscuous is gonna have sex with an animal. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that our society has created a climate where the sexual act is just physical. There's nothing special about it, right? The whole society is overly sexualized. And so what happens, it may be harder for us to relate to because, we haven't grown up like a lot of these kids. Like she's 19, right? So that means she was born in 2004. So she's in the height of social media. So she probably has seen more pornography and sexual stuff than I have in my whole life. Probably not as much as Vel, but still, you know what I'm saying? So what effect does that have on a young mind? And then how does that affect you down the road? That's where I'm saying it's getting these kids when they're young, and it's developing a perspective on the world about sex that, this shit is crazy to us, but it's not as crazy to them because it's become so normalized. Not bestiality specifically, but just the whole, it's a range of things. So you're going to get more people going to that extreme range than you would have before. Is my argument.
I mean, I think that's kind of what it is. Is she wanted to go one step further to get her videos out there or whatever she was doing, and then a concerned resident who was watching her regular porn then saw her get into it with a dog and was like, "This is just way too far. This is way too far."
or a fan of the dog was like, you know what? That particular human was whack.
Yeah, the dog could do better than this. Come on.
Yeah. But
and the girl didn't look bad when I saw the picture. She didn't look bad.
No, exactly.
She couldn't find a partner to do content with or whatever, and I just can't believe that she couldn't find anyone. But that's why I think that she was just trying to get some shock value, and it backfired on her.
Well, attention. I think you hit it off at the top, JG. Is the currency today is obviously still money, but also attention.
Attention,
right?
Yes.
And so that's what's driving. Like, what do people want? They want attention. They want the money. They want the lifestyle. All that that's attached to it. And people are doing whatever to do to get that. Money by any means necessary, man.
Yeah.
Attention by any means necessary is where it's going.
And the thing is, she was wrong in the execution, but not wrong in the actual mechanism. You want some kind of outrage, you want some kind of pushback to make you go viral. Now, if this would have been something else, I read something about a Brazilian or maybe just South American singer who was having sex with a guy on stage, and then it went viral worldwide, and her sales were going up, and it's like, okay, she should have done something. I don't know, maybe some kind of public sex.
Brazilian singer, you say?
I don't remember if she was Brazilian. It was South American.
They'll click clacking on Google. Let me investigate this.
Yeah.
I mean, but come on. I mean, again, aging myself, but Bobby Brown was simulating sex back in the day. Love to Love You was all about simulating sex. So granted, again, fucking a dog is an extreme, but this has been part of the culture forever.
I mean, bestiality has been, because it was enough that it got outlawed, where people were like, "Hey, stop doing this shit." Apparently we gotta put this in the laws, because these mofos won't stop screwing horses.
What happened was there were a bunch of minotaurs running around. Just tormenting people.
Minotaurs and centaurs.
Well, listen. Let me make a prediction, man. This is not going to be the last that we hear of this. It's not going to be the last that we hear of this. There's all kind of crazy shit coming, man. With the whole dating scene and more single men and single women, and
who knows? Swiping his dogs and shit in the picture. Just swiping dogs and
more single dogs.
Nope. Oh, this one looks good. Fido.
Anyway, we probably spent too much time on this topic, but just wait, we got more for you.
Denise, get it together, girl. All right, so let's move on to another case here in the news, which was the Bud Light situation, which I'm sure you guys heard of. And Bud Light recently partnered with a trans celebrity influencer named Dylan Mulvaney, and who has this Dylan was transitioning from a boy to a girl and has been documenting their transition on TikTok. And apparently Dylan has like 10 million followers on TikTok. So it made sense that they probably want to partner with someone with that many followers. However, once the video came out where Dylan, in the video, she's saying how she didn't know what March Madness was. She thought it was just people being crazy. Oh, I found out it's something to do with sports. Here's this Bud Light. And after that, conservatives just went nuts. And they were talking about boycotting Bud Light and just making all these videos about how they're taking the Bud Light out of their cooler and throwing it in the trash. And, you got people like Kid Rock, talking about, done with Bud Light, boycott Bud Light.
He blew that shit up with like a machine gun or something.
Yeah, man. It was crazy. I saw one where a guy he threw out the Bud Light and put Coors in. And then it's like people were saying, well, Coors supports Black Lives Matter and, other LGBTQ stuff. But I guess the guy didn't realize that. But anyway, so the point is that there is supposedly a loss of billions of dollars. Bud Light has supposedly lost billions of dollars because of this conservative backlash and boycott. However, whenever I see this, somebody sent me this and they're like, they've lost, $8 billion. And I saw the article was from Fox News, right? And I said, okay, hold on. The numbers, sometimes you can't lie about the numbers, but you can fudge the reason for those numbers. So whenever I see these things, I see these grand statements made from either side, the left or the right, I'll go to someplace like Snopes.com and I'll go there. If it's big enough, it's usually like the top topic at Snopes. And Snopes is a website, for those of you who don't know, snopes.com, that debunks web hoaxes and myths and just misinformation. So I go there a lot. And they were saying how the boycott really hasn't demonstrably affected Anheuser-Busch. But they don't dispute the numbers. They do say that they lost money. And it definitely did go down. However, experts were saying that this is just normal market fluctuation.
Yeah, I was going to say, doesn't it go up and down?
It goes up and down.
Yeah.
And some were saying that Bud Light has been in decline for years. And a lot of this is because inflation now, and Bud Light is not, it's losing popularity, and they've been really losing share this whole time anyway. But the point too is that the VP of marketing, her name is Alyssa Heinerscheid. She was the one who is responsible for this. She's trying to turn this brand around. They're trying to change their demographic, actually. So a lot of these conservatives who are saying, "Oh, we're done with Bud Light," she doesn't want you anyway. They're trying to get younger, more open-minded people into the brand. And finally, the last thing I will say is that some of the backlash has to do with a lot of women saying that they feel like they've been disrespected when they put a trans woman in and not a biological woman. I don't know if you watched Dylan's video, and they were saying real women don't act like that, and the way that she was speaking in motions and the way that she acts, and I was like, I've seen plenty of women act that way. I really don't know what they're talking about. I mean, have they seen TikTok? I mean, part of the reason I stopped going on TikTok is like there's a lot of them just act crazy and stupid because they can, and they get away with it. But I don't know. What did you guys think of the whole thing? I'm not even a beer drinker. I mean, you guys drink beer probably. What do you think of it?
So let me start off by saying, and you know what, I'm gonna roll with Ebony Blade, but that could also. So my father's nickname was Buddy, which kind of makes me Bud Light. But anyway,
oh man,
I got a million of them, guys.
Oh man,
only 999,000 to go.
But let me just say this, for all the Travis Tritts and Kid Rocks out there, and what really pissed me off, well, not pissed me off, what annoyed me, but I got to make sure that this is true and not just because I skimmed the article and I wasn't sure if the Kevin Sorbo post was a real post from him or something that someone just created.
No, that's real. He's notoriously right wing.
Oh my God! Now I can't watch Hercules.
Yeah, it's been that way for years, man. Legendary Journeys of Hercules done for me. Andromeda done.
God damn it!
What did he say?
He's just a conservative idiot.
Well, yeah, he just said something like, they just lost $8 billion in a few days. Definitely not good or something like that. But yeah, he's notoriously right wing now.
Oh man. Well, I won't watch it unless it's on somebody else's television. But yeah, that was my only takeaway. This shit keeps happening, and as a result, I really don't care when someone, whether it's a conservative person getting canceled or a trans person trying to get canceled. I really, much like we were talking about the comic book fatigue, I am tired of this shit too. To the point where, when the conservatives try to cancel someone, I'm just like, I don't fucking care. And then even when the liberals try to cancel someone, like, I don't fucking care anymore. Why do you get like just let everybody be? So that's where I am. And here's the thing. My family, like my uncles, not me necessarily, but if I go to a family function, you can bet your ass there's a bunch of Bud Light in the fucking cooler. And so while I'm not a drinker of Bud Light, I'm pretty sure the next family picnic I go to, Bud Light's going to be in the freezer. So I don't know if all this hoopla over this trans person who I've never heard of until just now is even worth the trouble. But I get how that's what we do now.
It's what we do now, man.
Yeah, it's just like, life isn't hard enough. Let's find some shit to be angry about.
Well, I think a couple of things. I came across this quote that I really like that people can do anything they want until it infringes on the rights of others. I think we'd all do well to remember that. Our right isn't to hurt other people. But I think like I could care less. I don't drink Bud Light. I can't remember the last time I had some Bud Light. I haven't thought about Bud Light ever. But I think what this is about, I don't even think it's about a trans woman on a beer can, in and of itself, in a vacuum. I think it's what's getting all these conservatives worked up is they see it as part of an overarching narrative mission to, indoctrinate their children and get them to accept something they don't think is right. And I mean, it's hard to argue that there hasn't been a push in the last 20 years or whatever for alternative lifestyles and whatnot, particularly. And I think when it comes to transgender, I don't think it's like people who are born, because there are people who are born with, forgive me for lack of the correct terminology, mixed gender, right? There are people who are just born that way. You can't hate someone for the way I mean, people do, but you shouldn't for the way they're born. But I think one of the big issues that I'm seeing out there is what they call gender affirming care, right? So this influencer Dylan Mulvaney actually got surgery in order to transition over, right?
Which they used to call gender reassignment, but now it's gender affirmation.
Correct. Right. Gender affirmation. But what's happening now is, and the laws may be different in different states, but I know some states are allowing children under the age of 18 to make these decisions. I mean, I think it's pretty permanent decision to change your gender. And I don't know that there's been a lot, but I guess there's, from what I've heard, read that it's not an insignificant amount of those children who went through the gender reassignment.
But their parents still have to sign off on it, right? Like the kid just can't be like, "Hey, I'm here. Yeah. Chop me up."
Yeah, exactly.
No, I don't. That we maybe could do some more research on it. But my understanding is that children under the age of 18 can get the affirming care without parental consent, at least in some states.
That doesn't sound right. Yeah, we definitely have to look that up.
No, I know it doesn't sound right. I think that's why a lot of people are up in arms.
No, I mean that statement doesn't sound like it's correct.
Yeah,
but I'll have to look.
Let's research it because I'm pretty sure it's correct. That there's at least some states, some places where children are able to get gender affirming care under the age of 18 years old.
You can't even go on TikTok without your parents' permission.
Hey man,
but you can go. You get your gender reassigned.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like that's possible. It's got to be like some kind of thing where the parents. I'm sure it's like in most states, 18 is a cutoff, no matter whether your parents want it or not. And there's some states where you can probably get it with your parents' consent.
Probably southern states.
I think it would do us well to look that up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna look it up because I am not interested in that shit at all.
Well, let me ask you guys this. Here's something
Hold on. Exceptions to parental consent laws in some states have steadily expanded to include gender affirming care. Oregon in 2015 passed a law allowing minors aged 15 and up to obtain taxpayer funded puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and sex change surgeries without parental consent. So there you all go for calling me a liar.
Yeah, I better look that up on Snow. But
so you still calling me a liar? Okay.
Hey, I don't know, man. Doesn't sound right. But yeah, we'll see. That one. I guess what I want to say about this one is that I just don't think that I would stop using a product because of the spokesperson. It have to be something that they did, as opposed to something that they are. Right. Like, if it was like, oh yeah, Hitler's our new spokesperson. Oh shit, not Hitler. I gotta stop drinking this shit. But I just don't know, man. It's like half the time, do I even know who the spokespeople are for these products? I don't even know.
Right.
And if this Dylan, they were like, oh yeah, Pepsi, then I'd be like, well, I'm trying to stop drinking, trying to drink less of that anyway. But it wouldn't matter at all to me if they had a trans person as a spokesperson. Yeah, it's just incredible.
And here's, at the risk of us going on another, weird tangent, a lot of this sort of uproar that's happening an election year is coming up. So I think that, a lot of this shit is about sort of getting the culture war, up and running.
Good point.
So a lot of this shit is just like, let's get our bases ready because the election year coming up, and if they actually, sit down and listen to the actual issues, the actual real issues, then, Biden might win again. I don't know. I'm just pulling this out my ass. So instead, they're like, we got to get people riled up because it's election year. And as a result, we're getting distracted by all this bullshit. But the base, the different bases are like, yeah, now we got something to fight about instead of, focusing on the real sort of issues that are affecting the country. But, that's just my thought. I don't know if that's really what's happening. That's what it feels like to me.
No, that's an excellent point. I believe that's exactly what's going on.
Because back to what JG, who gives a fuck who's on listen, if you're drinking Bud Light, they're trying to get drunk for cheap. Who gives a fuck who's on that can? You got bigger issues if you're drinking Bud Light.
Yeah, man.
That's my 2 cents.
Yeah, I just think that there's a lot of outrage, and I just don't know if it's making any difference to Bud Light, if especially if this VP of marketing is saying that she wants to change the brand anyway. Well, this might just be what she was expecting, and there was like a BS apology, right?
Yeah, I mean, we'll find out pretty soon here because I think it might be the end of this month that companies have to start reporting, earnings, and you'll get sales numbers and stuff like that.
This quarter, the quarter is about to end this month. Yeah,
right. So, we'll find out if it's had any real effect, on their sales. I mean, there's no doubt that their market cap has gone down, but like you said, it's tough at this point to directly connect that to any one singular issue. They've been struggling for years, so we'll find out. But look, just like if you're on the left and you want to cancel someone because you don't like them or what they say or what they do, that's your right. Like we like to say on this show, you have a right to say what you want, but you don't have a right to avoid the consequences. So
exactly.
And then the people on the right, if you don't want to, if you find this offensive or whatever, it bothers you that much, then you have a right to stop, supporting that business. As consumers, you go somewhere, you give your money, you can choose whether to continue patronizing them or not. If you're not getting the service that you want, that's your right. We don't got to agree with it. We don't have to like it. You don't have to like it, and people can do what they want. But what really annoys me the most is that what Vel said, that we're just pawns in the middle, meaning regular people, and these political operatives on both sides are using us to further their own ends. I was watching this little this will be my last point. This little clip of this doctor who was talking about he cares for trans people as part of his practice. He said, and the comment he made was, the people on the left are continually coming out in support of trans people and attacking people on the right, and characterizing people on the right as hating trans people. But he said that he's really doubtful that these folks on the left, the media and whatnot, the politicians, if they really even understand the trans situation, perspective, the lives that they live, they're just using them as political pawns. And I tend to think that he's right. Neither side really cares about the issue. They just want to win, and we all lose for that.
I can definitely see that 100%. Unfortunately, that's the situation that we're in this country, where it's very easy for me to see that. And I wish sometimes there's people who, right or wrong, they actually believe in these candidates. They believe in the political process. They just believe that, oh yes, they're in it for the right reasons and they're going to help people. I'm like, man, I wish I was somewhere at a point where I could actually believe that without seeing all the things they have to gain, the maneuvering, the political maneuvering all the time, and the stupid sound bites where they're just scratching at each other constantly. Right. But I think for now we should move on to another amazing story that will be brought to us by the Ebony Blade, man. What are we talking about?
All right, so according to, I think it was the Business Insider. I don't know how I ended up there, but I ended up on there somehow. So a man went to prison he just got he just got convicted of stealing about 50,000 Bitcoin, which is worth over $3.4 billion. He stole it from Silk Road, the dark web marketplace, which I forgot about. But the thing is, he hid it inside of a Cheetos popcorn tin. So what's interesting, I mean, we could talk about the Bitcoin and all that stuff, but I did not know that one, Cheetos had popcorn, and two, that they got flaming hot and cheese flavor that you can mix together. Now, maybe it's because I smoke weed, but that sounds delicious to me. And I have not seen it in the store. And I'm just like, hey, first of all, how do you steal 50,000 Bitcoin? But more importantly, where did you get that Cheetos popcorn? What do you guys think?
Yeah, so see our PO box in the description, and please send that flaming hot and cheddar flavors over to my boy Ebony Blade. So, yeah, we'll appreciate that. But yeah, man, he decided to hide it in a snack tin, and it's like, man, I would have found that immediately. I would have been like, it smells like some Cheetos, flaming hot Cheetos. I'd be like, shit, Bitcoin.
Of course, apparently he had it in a tin, but it was like hidden. It was like buried under,
it was
or someplace.
Wait, it was just like on a USB or something, right?
Oh, see, good for you. That was my question.
It says it was an underground floor safe and on a single board computer that was submerged under blankets in a popcorn tin stored in a bathroom closet.
Yeah, because Bitcoin is not like cash. I mean, it's a digital thing, so it has to be on a digital device.
That was my question for you. Yeah, I'm like, Bitcoin isn't an actual thing. So
yeah, so he probably, like, I have a cold storage wallet. It's a Ledger cold storage wallet that it is like a USB drive essentially. So when they're saying single board computer, I'm like, what the hell? Okay, it could be on his desktop computer too, a wallet on there. But yeah, that was kind of weird. So he had 660,000 in cash as well as silver and gold bars. But did he have any more Cheetos left, or were they all gone?
That's a real question.
Where the Cheetos at, man?
Where
are the Cheetos?
like did he at least eat the Cheeto popcorn, or did he dump it? And if he dumped it, they need to tack another year on there.
He didn't dump it because he was sentenced to a year in prison. He gave them the Cheetos. He bartered. So if he stole 3.4 billion at the time it was seized, it was worth 3.4 billion. He's only doing a year. They got them Cheetos. That was part of the deal.
We're gonna need you to come up off them Cheetos, dog.
No,
man, no, not the Cheetos. Yo, but let me go on a quick rant here.
Go for it.
Because something that's been happening over the last year or two is you got politicians like this. Oh man, I want to use some words. This lady, Elizabeth Warren, who for years has positioned herself as, pro the little guy against all these big banks and stuff like that, taking advantage of us. She's now, anti-crypto and trying to shut that down. While on the same hand, apparently she's made quite a bit of money through speaking engagements that were supported by these big banks. So you can't trust any of these damn politicians. But one of the things that they like to say about crypto is that drug dealers and money launderers just love to use cryptocurrency as a way to evade taxes and the law and all this kind of stuff. Oh my gosh, this is so annoying because it's such an outright lie. The easiest way to avoid taxes and avoid the law is to use physical cash. Use physical cash because cryptocurrency can be digitally tracked. That's how all these MFs on the Silk Road and all the other places get caught.
That's what the blockchain is. It's a public ledger.
It's a public ledger, man. But this just tells you how little they respect us, and maybe they shouldn't. Maybe we all are just fucking stupid, because crypto and anybody that really knows crypto, or I'm not talking about people who don't use crypto, right? That's who they're really attacking.
I don't know anything about crypto.
Right. So you're not going to know. So this is not aimed at like folks like you, but people that use crypto know that, okay, it's on a public ledger. It's recorded. So if you're trying to evade taxes and shit like that, that's not the way to go, right? But they still come out and say that. Why? Because they can push a narrative so that people who aren't in crypto don't get into crypto because they associate it with criminal activity and stuff like that. This is again all part of a game, part of a con for people who have power, politicians and the current banking system, to keep people from being free of that power. Me, you, and regular folks. I'm not saying crypto is like a godsend and it doesn't have issues. There's definitely issues. It can be manipulated, all that stuff. I'm not naive about that. But what this is about is for them to control. And once the government and everybody says, oh, gives their blessing, crypto's good to go. It's go ahead, go for that. That's when you know that they've got the hooks in, that they've positioned themselves to control crypto.
Right.
They don't want people doing that shit until they've got control. That's what this is all about, man. This is all about power, man.
You just have to see who wins. They win. If crypto were to go under, then okay, they can consolidate their control. People are getting away from it. I've read so many things where people are able to send money to their families and they don't have to go through these BS exchange rates.
Right.
And they send them all the money. And it's just they've a lot of them say, I get paid in Bitcoin, I can send it back home and it's not a problem. And other countries have those Bitcoin and crypto ATMs,
So I have a question regarding Silk Road. So is the marketplace isn't illegal, just illegal shit happens on the marketplace.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, if he stole it from Silk Road, I'm like, he's just stealing from a bunch of criminals. And if a criminal steals from a criminal, is that really against me? Is that crime?
Yeah, he supposedly tricked people into sending him the money.
Okay.
Tricked him fair and square.
Curious how that worked. I should look up that, but I don't need to be on the dark web.
Well, it's like you said, I forgot about it too until this came out. I was like, oh, right, yeah, Silk Road, yeah. I don't know if the Silk Road is still there, though. Okay. That's not still there, is it? Or is it?
I don't know. I know they didn't some years ago, 5 years, 10 years ago, they arrest the guy who was running or who created the Silk Road or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I mean, look, governments do not want people outside their system. And that's why, have you heard of CBDCs, central bank digital currencies?
No.
Okay. So central bank digital currencies are going to be these currencies controlled by central banks, the Federal Reserve and whatnot.
Are those stable coins or is that something else?
No, stable coins are like are basically you get them on the crypto exchanges and exchange dollars for a stable coin. It just makes it easier to transact across exchanges. But the central bank digital currency is basically, I think the idea is it might end up replacing kind of the commercial banking that we're all used to. But the problem with it is that a central bank dollar is a digital dollar that can be tracked. Now we all use digital dollars today, even though we don't really realize it, because when we transact with our bank, all that's not cash sitting in the bank. Those are just digits on a computer, right? But these central bank digital currencies will actually be programmable coins that can be tracked. So you know how the government sent out stimulus during the pandemic. If they send you $1,000, they can program those dollars so that they can only be spent on, let's say food, medical care, whatever, that type of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And they can track how you spend it. They can also put a time limit on it where if you haven't spent it by within 90 days, it just disappears from your account. So there's all kinds of things they can do with it. And ultimately, it's going to give the government
total BS.
Complete control over the economy. And so, all this conspiracy theory, this, dystopian stuff, the AI chatbots and the police robots and, all this kind of stuff, these are all connected things where we're getting a more and more controlled society. And if that's what you want, because the upside of, or the pros of a more controlled society is maybe a reduction of crime, safer cities, those, maybe there's more economic equality. I don't know about that. But the downside is, man, if you want freedom, you're not gonna. You can read about it, but you're not gonna have it.
So what I'm taking away from this is that I need to just take all my money out and only pay for things in cash.
Well, there's probably not going to be cash at a certain point. You probably will not be able to buy things with cash unless there are other individuals willing to take your cash in the black market, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
That's-
So that
that's
cash is
probably
going to be
one of the
worthless. Just send it over
Yeah.
to me. I'll just hold on to it.
Yeah, me too.
There's really no need for it.
You know what? That's interesting because there are a couple coffee shops in my neighborhood. They don't take cash. I don't fuck with them. I mean, I have credit cards and I have debit cards, but I just don't fuck with them out of principle. Just because it seems like a classist thing to do. It's like, hey, we don't take cash, but not everyone has, digital money. I guess is that what we're calling it? And as a result, I'm like, I don't fuck with Perfect Blend, which is the name of the coffee shop, because just out of principle, I'm like, dude, what do you mean you don't take cash? So it is crazy.
That's very interesting. So that's legal, that you can refuse the legal tender.
Apparently, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, I didn't know that.
I mean, here's the thing. I think what happened, because remember during the pandemic when, people thought that COVID, you could get COVID from touching a dollar or whatever. So I think, because I remember at the airport, there were a couple of joints at the airport. They're like, we don't fuck with cash. And they stated it's because it was COVID, but maybe they were using COVID as a sort of a scapegoat because they were just like, you know what, fuck y'all and y'all paper money. We're strictly electric. So
they don't want paper money, man. It's too hard to control.
But it's legal tender though.
Yeah, but
and they keep more of it. There's got to be transaction fees that they're having to pay, but it must be worth it to them.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't know, because I at the bar, whenever we use our POP system, our electric system, that costs us. I mean, not us. I don't own the place, but that costs for them to do that transaction.
Yeah, that's what
it would seem to me that you'd rather do cash instead of electric.
That's one of the things with crypto is that that's going to help to reduce and maybe even eliminate a lot of those kind of banking fees, which is part of the reason why banks are fighting against this thing. So until they can control it.
Cut that shit out by taking cash. But I don't know. I'm simple-minded, obviously.
Well, I want to bring this thing back around to the Cheetos. We got off track, and now I'm hungry for some Cheetos. So I think we got to wrap this one up, guys, because I got to go get these flaming hot and cheddar Cheetos.
Well,
get you a couple cans of Bud Light, man,
and some Bud Light.
Oh my God, that is the meal of champions.
Yeah, man. So at that point, I guess I'm going to get out of here, but please like and share and subscribe if you like this show, because we really appreciate it. Leave us comments. We'd like to engage with you guys. Let us know what you thought about our opinions, such as they are. Anyway, let's peace on out of here, guys.
Peace, fellas.